Well, thanks and welcome to join me. I'm Kejang Henry Atembeh in Douala, Cameroon. Now we begin with our top stories. Now, government dismisses claims that the Bishop of Bafia, Monseigneur Jean-Marie Benoit Bala, was murdered. A release from the office of the Attorney General of the Appeal Court of the Central Region says Bishop Bala must have committed suicide by drowning. And Mbororos versus Mambilas, the conflict continues along the Cameroon-Nigeria border town of Gembu. Hundreds displaced, dozens killed, by property destroyed. And 39 cartons of imported frozen chicken seized in Yaoundé by the Customs Department. This is a move to fight custom fraud in the country. Those were our headlines. The news is just right ahead. Welcome to join me. The Attorney General of the Appeal Court of the Central Region of Cameroon has dismissed claims that the Bishop of Bafia, Monseigneur Jean-Marie Benoit Bala, was murdered. In fact, a release from the Attorney's office signed this July 4 says that after post-mortem examinations conducted by a team of international forensic experts, it is reported there were no signs of violence on the body of the deceased bishop. Now, the experts conclude that drowning must have been the probable cause of the death of the bishop, Jean-Marie Benoit Bala. Now, we'll move over to Yaoundé to meet our Yaoundé Bureau correspondent, Beatrice Ngamu. Now, tells us more about the release this day from the office of Jean-Fils Ntamak.
Is the most cause of the death of Monsignor Jean-Marie Benoit Bala, late Bishop of. Drowning is the most. Drowning is the most probably cause of the death of Monsignor Jean-Marie Benoit Bala, late Bishop of Bafia. The results contained in a release this July 4, 2017, by the Procureur General of the Central Court of Appeal, Jean-Fils Ntamak, stating that after close examination by Cameroonians and international experts, forensic medical doctors, they noted the absence of traces of violence on the body of the deceased and concluded in this light that the man of God died by drowning. A release quite different from that of the National Episcopal Conference of Cameroon made public last June 13.
From the initial findings, we, the bishops of Cameroon, affirm that His Lordship Jean-Marie Benoit Bala did not commit suicide. He was brutally assassinated. This is one more murder, one far too much.
The release from the Procureur General further states that information gathered is still being possessed to establish the truth. But with medical and forensic examinations complete, the corpse of Monsignor Jean-Marie Benoit Bala has been handed over to the authorities of the Catholic Church for burial. This as investigations are continuing to establish the exact circumstance of the tragedy. The findings of related inquiry, the release went further, will be made known to the public in due course. Release number 2, concerning the circumstances surrounding the death of Monsignor Jean-Marie Benoit Bala.
Well, thanks very much, Beatrice Ngamu. In fact, the conflict between the Mambilas and the Mbororos in Gembu, a border town between Cameroon and Nigeria, continues to produce seismic repercussions. For casualties involves destruction of livestock, property, farmlands, etc. Details with Gladys Ambotiba.
The aftermath of the confrontation between Mbororos and Mambilas in Gembu village bordering Cameroon and Nigeria is glaring. Reports see the problem is as a result of land conflicts between the Fulanis grazers and the Mambilas.
The Mambilas are claiming that the grazing land belongs to them, and the Fulanis too have been there for years. They claim too is their land. And it seems some of the government officials of the Federal Republic of Nigeria are backing these militia people because they want to rustle the cows, the cattle that the Fulani have, and they share the booty.
Apart from deaths recorded, farmlands, livestock, houses and other properties have been destroyed and hundreds of people have fled as a result of the conflict.
About 150 of the Fulanis that have fled from Gembu that are present here in Kumbo. Then about 3,150 in Mayodale that are taking refuge in one of the secondary schools there in Mayodale. And so far they have lost about 710 cattle that have been butchered, and they have lost about 4,000 cattle that have been rustled by the militia.
Mbororos victims who sustained injuries were rushed to the Bansa Baptist Hospital in Kumbu in critical conditions.
3 of them, they had bullets, gunshot. It was indicating that they had gunshot, and mostly on their tummy and on their chest area. And one of them had a cut at the back of the neck.
Inhabitants were shocked by the injuries they saw on victims and explained why they chose Kumbu as a safe haven.
They think that Kumbu is safe. And secondly, in terms of medical care, they think that Kumbu has the best hospital, in which I'm sure that is real.
Mayildal, Sabongari, Sa, Mwa and Kumbu are some localities that have welcomed the refugees.
Well, very disturbing pictures there. Thanks very much, Ambo Gladys Diban. Now, women of the Congo Basin Commission are in Douala to better understand the resolutions that were taken at the COP21 and COP22 in Paris and Marrakesh. In fact, this meeting will help them to better prepare COP23, that is the Conference of Parties that is going to come up in Bonn in 2018, not before they must have involved women of the rural areas on the dangers of climate change. Details in the following report. The Network of African Women for Sustainable Development, REFAD, is meeting in Douala, Cameroon to grapple with the resolutions of the historic 21st and 22nd Conference of Parties, which took place in Paris and Marrakesh.
The main objective of this workshop is just to restitute the conclusion of COP21 and which held in Paris, and COP22 which held in Marrakesh, in order to enable the network of women for sustainable development in Central Africa to contribute to the implementation of the conclusion of this COP.
These women will then relay the knowledge acquired to their folks in rural areas.
The COP21 who took place in Paris, and the COP of action which took place in Marrakesh. We want to know concerning the network of women, what are the key lessons they learned when they were in Paris, when they were in Marrakesh, and what action are they planning to do after having taken in account the new initiatives in which they were confronted by participating in the COPs, and which involve them, else for them to scale up what it is needed and waited from their action while living in the grassroots and making those women who are
coming from 10 countries of the Congo Basin Commission. These women are playing the role as a vehicle of development. This sub-regional meeting will help the women prepare for the COP23 that is coming up in Bonn, Germany. Well, it is more than 7 months today since the Anglophone crisis began. Schools remain shut, businesses shut down too, as a popular ghost town or unpopular ghost town days as prescribed by those leaders calling for civil disobedience. Now, Leke Regional says 8 months after, the people of West Cameroon are living in limbo. She talked to some of them in Buea and in Mutengene. Her report.
It is more than 7 months today since the Anglophone crisis sparked up, a strike action that began mostly with common law lawyers and teachers demanding for better working conditions later spread amongst different ranks of English-speaking Cameroonians. More than 7 months after, most Anglophones are still in limbo on what direction the crisis is taking.
The crisis has affected me as a parent. It has affected me because my children are still in the house. I don't know, this academic year there wasn't any effective school there. They did not go to school. So I don't know whether the next academic year I should send them ahead or they should stay behind. It is really a problem to me.
This mother says she is just back from collecting her daughter's belongings from boarding school.
For the past 6 months or 5 months, my child has not been going to school. I am leaving the school now from taking her things from the school, and I'm begging the government to resume the school because the children, they are desperate in the homes. We are facing very big difficulty now with the children. I'm begging the government to see the solution in Cameroon and make our children to go back to school. Some of them are frustrated.
The parents say the children are suffering for crimes they did not commit.
The children don't have consent in such things that happen in the world. They are innocent children. We the parents will suffer for these children a lot. Some of them, they have not written the GCE because of inconveniences. They don't have where to stay and go to write their GCE. Some of them have not written the GCE. The money that have paid for school, some of us will have sent our school in dormitories. That is worth about a million something for about 2 children. They are in the house doing nothing. They are pasting us.
Some English-speaking Cameroonians are of the opinion that schools should resume, but decried the current atmosphere.
Yes, school should resume, but considering the atmosphere that is still roaming around now, you see like the condition of some people who are still in detained in waiting trials and so on. The atmosphere is not good. Why? Because there's a lot of speculation going on. You don't know what will happen to those people. They might be sentenced. People are giving all types of speculation. It's not healthy for the peace that is going on.
As the countdown to the next academic year narrows down, all fingers are crossed to see if schools will resume or not.
Well, that was Fredina Lekede reporting on the situation there on the ground in the southwest region of the country. Some 39 cartons of imported frozen chicken have been confiscated alongside whiskey and canned drinks. In fact, this was done by the Customs Department in the central region of the country as a means to fight illicit trade. Details with Beatrice Ngamu from our Yaoundé Bureau.
Cartons of frozen chicken, catch of the Special Customs Mission to fight against fraud and illicit trading baptized Arcomi Halt to Illicit Trade Zone 2 Central Region. The content of 6 big parcels seized Monday at around 5 a.m. at the Van Motor Park after intercepting a bus from a traveling agency. The officer in charge of the operations explains frozen chicken are prohibited goods imported from neighboring country and are to be destroyed according to the law. The divisional officer of Yaoundé 1 has been informed a destruction committee will be put in place to that effect. Difficult, especially to know the real individuals behind the deal, but that's what Arcome is out for. Alongside the cartons of frozen chicken are some other 309 cartons of diverse canned drinks and whiskies. The content of this Mitsubishi lorry seized on the Yaoundé-Ebolova highway without any customs document nor label on the drinks. Smuggled goods they are, but if the perpetrator pays the taxes, brings and presents to them the reference mark, pays custom dues, alongside fine according to the SEMAC customs, he can carry goods away. The custom administration says they are on the watch why this special unit are to free the country from not only illicit, but at times illicit and dangerous goods.
Well, that was Beatrice Ngamu reporting there on the situation there in Yaoundé. Now, leading African businessmen are crusading for cross-border trade and investment on the continent. In fact, championing the cause of Afri-capitalism is the chairman of the Health Holding, Tony Elumelu, who, alongside his counterpart of the African Export-Import Bank, OK Orama contracted a $100 million facility to encourage and support cross-border investment. Details in this report. Cross-border trade and investment on the African continent has been saluted by one of the continent's business leaders. More than $100 billion facilities have been provided by one of the continent's most established. More than $100 billion facility has been provided by one of the continent's most established financial institutions, the African Export-Import Bank. At the 24th Annual General Meeting of the African Export-Import Bank, holding in Rwanda, continental business leaders chart a new investment approach to sustainable development. One of the leading speakers at the assembly was the chairman of Hales Holding, Tony Elumelu. If the African continent should develop, focus should be cross-border investments as a driver of intra-African trade and industrialization. That was the vision of Tony Elumelu. And Tony Olumelu's vision is to make Africa proud by promoting young businessmen and women on the continent. Let your money work in Africa, he told business people at the summit. That is why he is catalyzing some 1,000 young entrepreneurs each year for a period of 10 years through the project TEEB. Cameroon was equally part of the discussions and has as representative the Minister of Economy, Planning and Regional Development, Louis-Paul Motazi. Well, digging sand along the or during the rainy season is a very difficult task, not easy enough for sand diggers, especially those who are in Douala or along the banks of River Vuri. Now, that job is further complicated by the high tides, lightning and thunderstorms. And as Morindi reports, many of these sand diggers have abandoned the job because of the very risky nature of it, especially during the rainy season.
It's a rainy day and sand diggers at Bonewake village in Akwa North in Cameroon's economic city at work. The sand diggers are not comfortable with the cold weather which has forced hundreds of youths to quit the sector. They say the activity has slumped this rainy season.
Season time like this, the water is too hard. We have some strength in water called thunder. So when they say now is rainy season, it's thunder time. Therefore, the water is at certain level that to remove sand, those who don't know how to remove sand now very well in the water, they don't go again to the water. So that's why we even have reduction of sand at this time. Because many people who go there, they are still struggling to study how to carry sands. Only those who have been the old in the field. So during the rainy season, the activities drops a bit because many, they call them mariés, go and bring sands in the water. Many of them, they don't job at this time because they are afraid that the canoes is going to drown in the water.
The risks are just too many. The sand diggers cried out. They told me the water level is high and it is difficult to dig out sand. And most often they are affected by lightning and thunderstorm. At this point, unexperienced sand diggers get drowned. According to reports, 3 sand diggers lost their lives this year.
We have 2 types of carrying sand in the water. We have those who carry sand beside, they go where water is not above their waist level or neck level. And we have those who go deep in the water and carry sand. So those who go deep in the water, they go and carry this mongo sand. And those who carry sand beside, they are carrying the plastering sand.
With the use of bamboos and their canoes, the sand diggers are forced to go inland if they have to meet up with demand.
Well, thanks very much, Morindi. Now we stay in Douala, where it is not easy to battle with cold during this very rainy season. And of course, the major challenge is that of the young people who are struggling to make ends out of this period. Most of them have engaged in the sales of pullovers in one of the most popular markets in the city of Douala called Marché Koulou. This market is reputed for the sale of second-handed goods. Christian Katala went out on the hustling and bustling that is there in Marshing Kululu.
Justin is a wholesaler, dealer in second-handed pullovers for the past 15 years in Marshing Kululu, a market reputed for trading in used goods, especially footwears, underwears, clothes. He is not the only one who deals in pullovers. Olivier, popularly called L'Homme Voyageur, also sells pullovers. He says most of his customers are young boys who come to buy because of trademarks. Others come here for different types of pullover. Olivier says prices vary from 15,000 francs to 20,000 francs, depending on the size and quality. Though it's the raining season, he says the business is still on a low key. Since rain began, customers are still to come. We are really facing difficulties here. During this raining season, people buy pullovers to fight against cold.
Christian Katala. Now, the Cameroon Diaspora in the UK has contributed the sum of 10 million CFA francs as their own quota to fight against Boko Haram. The money was handed over to the Minister of Territorial Administration and Decentralization, Rene Mawesadi. Beatrice Ngamo standing by in our Yaoundé bureau.
10 million francs CFA amount Cameroonians living in the United Kingdom decided to offer the government through the Ministry of Territorial Administration and Decentralization, this as their own contribution in the fight against Boko Haram.
I'm very happy to have received these 10 millions from the Great Britain diaspora to assist our troops and to assist victims of war in Cameroon. As you may know, the world community did the same some time ago, and today it's our diaspora from Great Britain.
A natural reaction to family members suffering from the ravages of the Boko Haram terrorist group, explains the chairman of the Executive Bureau of the initiative called Support Cameroon's Troop and Victims.
When you're in a family and a member of your family, your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your cousin, even a neighbor, someone whom you know, and you learn that that person, through no fault of theirs, has been displaced, has been attacked, has been marginalized, and has been disenfranchised. In other words, the local social economy, the local financial economy, the opportunities in terms of going to school have been destroyed and could be done for a generation. It's only a natural reaction to take action and to find out what it is that you can do. There are times that you can send a word of comfort. You could send materials. It could be household consumer items. Or if it happens that you're further away, perhaps the most convenient way to do it is to actually collect funds and collect cash and pass that over to the victims, the civilians, as well as to support our troops who have been very gallant in this process.
Their mission, July 3rd, to the Ministry of Territorial Administration and Decentralization, in the company of Cameroon's High Commissioner to the United Kingdom. The minister delegate, on behalf of the minister, used the occasion to also make this appeal to other people of goodwill, especially as the war against Boko Haram has been draining the country of billions and billions of CFA francs alongside human and material losses.
We welcome all efforts in that sense, and since we are still in war with Boko Haram, we welcome all efforts. So all Cameroonians living them abroad or in Cameroon are still welcome to bring what they can in order to assist our troops.
This Cameroon diaspora in the United Kingdom should be noted a part of the big diaspora family that came for the National Forum of the Diaspora that took place last week in Yaoundé, Cameroon. Their own contribution to the country's emergence.
Well, thanks for having been part of this program. Our news and programs will continue on Canal to English. From all of us, it's goodbye for me. But then I want to tell you to watch us on our Facebook page, Canal English. Meanwhile, Tough Talk will be coming up just right ahead. From all of us, it's goodbye from me.
Canal International.